Ready? Chapter 19, Blingon. Keon had already fallen asleep when Ask and Embla took over the night shift from Banke and Jorunn. They looked at Aino and smiled. "You are up late. Don't you need sleep?" Embla asked her in a soft-spoken voice. "No, I'm fine like this. I don't use up much energy during the days anyway. Keon always carries me." She looked down at him as he was sleeping next to her. "He seems like a kind man. Also pretty damn strong and fast for being able to keep up with us mages. He doesn't have your blood in him, does he?" Ask asked her in a friendly tone. "There is no part of me in him. I'm lucky to have him with me through all this. He's a good person, better than I could ever be." Aino looked up at Ask and Embla. "So I heard that the two of you raised the smaller children before they joined as cadets. Did Banke tell you that?" Embla asked her. "Banke and Jorunn. They told me that the two of you raised Juva and Edda as well," Aino answered. "Did they now?" Embla raised her eyebrows. "I noticed that neither Edda nor Jorunn seemed to want to hide it anymore. After all, they aren't undercover now. I do wonder how some of the other officers will react when the truth gets out, though. There are a lot of open wounds that haven't had time to heal yet." Embla got a sad look on her face. Ask put her hand in his. "We used to be in the Wolf Army. Unlike many of the officers here, we didn't desert. We actually got kicked out. Neither I nor Embla can have children. And if it's one thing the ruler wants, it's more soldiers. If you can't produce any offspring, you immediately get on his bad side." Us getting kicked out probably had more to do with the fact that we disagreed with his method of brainwashing children to be his obedient subordinates, though, Embla filled in. "People are just tools to him. We were as well. In the end, we were lucky to get out of that army without having to pay with our lives. It's better to be considered useless than a threat," Ask said and shrugged. "We knew that the twins had deserted a year earlier. They were quite famous in the army, despite their young age. We didn't know much about why, but it was clear that the ruler wanted their heads. So when we were kicked out, we went to find them. All we knew was that they were in the south. One day, out of pure luck, we ran into Tore, who invited us to live with them. I think he was happy to hand over the responsibility of the children to us. Poor guy was almost going crazy." Embla laughed quietly. "Just because we can't have children ourselves doesn't mean we don't know how to take care of them. It's not an easy time they're forced to grow up in. The ruler has created a world where we all have become disposable. Do as he says, or you will see how little your life matters in the end. So we try our best to make the children that come to us live as normal as possible." Ask smiled towards Aino. "It used to be only us, but there are so many children at this point that it's an entire orphanage with many helping. The ruler is becoming more and more ruthless. If it had been today, we wouldn't have left his army with our heads still attached to our bodies. We've been together for around 20 years now. When we joined Ela's blood army, we were around 22 years old. That's also why we aren't as tall as many of the other officers here. After we became mages, I'd say we in total grew about 10 centimeters each. Otherwise, you become a mage when you graduate as a cadet at around 16 years of age. After that, you can grow up to an extra 30 centimeters on top of your normal growth. For the cadets who go through the medical program, they graduate at 18 instead. So they tend to be a little bit shorter." Embla turned her head towards Aino. "The earlier your blood flows through our veins, the taller and stronger we become." Keon was woken up by two arguing voices. "I don't want to hear another word about berries!" Atle looked like he was ready to smack Tyr. "I need to pick berries before we leave," Tyr retorted loudly. "No, you don't," Isa said calmly as she and Arvid walked up next to the colonel. Tyr looked at her and then at Arvid. "Why did the two of you come together? What did you do to my cousin?" "What did I do? You think I can do anything to her? Look at her!" Arvid pointed to the Major General. "Yes, look at this perfect human being," Isa responded confidently. The other 3 officers looked at her with tired expressions. Whatever, you all don't know how to appreciate true art. She waved her hand dismissively. Teal looked at the generals with an angry expression before he stomped off. Atle shook his head as Teal marched away. We're going to have to remove him as culinary teacher once we're back. I'm guessing you've gotten complaints? Lisa asked him. Yeah, the last lesson he held was all dedicated to Blingon, he answered. Blingon? Arvid asked, confused. Yes, apparently it's a rare hybrid that can be found in nature, where blueberry and lingonberry has mixed and so creating Blingon. He held a 2-hour class on this berry, on a berry that is extremely rare and tastes like shit. Atle grimaced. Wow, Arvid said unenthusiastically. I love my cousin and all. He's been my best friend since we were children, but he does have quite the obsession with berries. Lisa sighed loudly. As they were all ready to leave, Atle approached Juva. They spoke for a short while, and then both turned their heads towards Aino. She looked back at them. What did they want from her? The 2 lieutenant generals nodded towards each other before one of them approached her. Aino, we have a favor to ask from you. Just as we can all feel you, you can feel us all too, right? Atle asked her carefully. She looked up at him. You want the location of the officers from the 11th camp? Yes, their camp is the closest to Ulfstad. We need to know if they're still there, or if they've moved further south, or if something worse might have happened to them. He looked at her with a worried expression. I'll try, she answered. You aren't sure you can do it? Keon asked her as he watched Atle walk back to Juva. No, I'm sure. It takes me less than a second to locate them. I already know they're fine. They're at their camp as they should be, and none of them are hurt. However, I'm not sure I want the mages to know how easy it is for me, Aino answered. A cracking sound was heard behind them. Keon and Aino looked around as they saw one of the officers having tried to sneak up behind them. Well, if it isn't the worried lieutenant. You do realize I can sense you, right? Aino commented. The lieutenant stood up straight. My name is Ossian. Nothing else. I know you can sense me, but I also know you're withholding a lot of information from us. Aino's eyes lingered on the officer. And what makes you think you have the right to that information? The lieutenant swallowed loudly. I don't trust you. That's irrelevant to me, Aino replied calmly. Ossian looked increasingly nervous and started to slowly back away. You can tell Atle that I found the officers of the 11th camp. They're all well and still in the same spot. Aino still kept her eyes on the officer as he backed further away from her. He nodded in reply before he turned around and ran up to the lieutenant general to deliver the news. Aino's eyes narrowed. I have to watch out for him. While the rest of the mages are treating me with silk gloves, he doesn't. One day he will see right through me. Will it matter if he does? Keon asked her. Not in the long run. I'll get my blood back from all of them in the end. Aino answered calmly.